Alright, this is part 2 of my Adobe Premiere tutorials for the ODU Tutorial Series. Alright, now you've already captured your video, and now I'm going to show you the basics, very basics of editing that video. Because you're going to have way more video content that usually than you're going to want. You're going to want to trim that content. Okay, so let's look here in the project window again, where you have all your media. Here's all the video clips that we captured, and you'll see this thing called a sequence. And you can have more than one of these, but the sequence, if you double click on it, is actually this timeline down here. Okay, so the timeline is going to be the actual edited video that you're going to finally export. Okay, so how do we edit the video and put it into this sequence down here? Well, there's several ways of doing this, but the easiest way is you can first double click on a piece of media in your project window, and when you do that, it will show up in your preview window. Okay, now once you've done that, you can drag this playhead around, or just use the play controls and find the spot that you want. Let's say we want a piece of video here. We'll start where he goes to reach down there. Okay, so this is where we want the video clip to start. Okay, so I'm going to mark that to start there by clicking on this little curly bracket. You see it says set endpoint. Okay, we can click on that. You could also use the I key on the keyboard. Now I'll drag it around to here. Let's say I want to get that right after that lady moves in her seat. Okay, that's the part where I want it to end. And again, now this time I'll click on the other curly bracket, set the out point, or I could hit O on the keyboard. And now you'll see this little area here is highlighted, this area here. Oh, I moved it around. You can also move it. Now this is the piece of video that is going to go into my timeline when I drag it in there. Let me move this to the end. Alright. So now in order to take this piece of video that we've marked and bring it into the timeline, we can just drag it. Now if we drag it into the program window here, the video will be plopped down wherever this playhead is. So if this playhead is in the middle of our video, and if we drag this in here, then the video is going to be put in the middle of that. So as you can see, it got put like right on top of that other piece of video. Maybe that's what you want, or maybe that's not what you want. If I made a mistake, I can hold down Control and then Z to undo. Also, you can do the undos up here in the edit window, or edit menu. So I'm going to move this to the end, this playhead, because I want this piece of video to be at the very end of my timeline. So I'm going to move it to the end. I'll just hit the end key on my keyboard, make sure that the playhead moves to the very end. And now I'll drag it and drop it, and as you can see, because the playhead was at the end, it gets put in here. Okay. Let's put another piece of video in, kind of using a different method. Okay, again, we'll find the part we want. Okay, that's the part we want to start. We'll mark that as our endpoint, and then we'll drag here where he does that, and we'll mark that as our out point. Okay. Now this time I'll drag it directly into the timeline window, and as you can see, you have all these options. You can drag it on top of the video you have currently. You could put it onto a different video track here, or you could drag it to the end, put it in different areas, and I'll just drag it right to the very end and drop it in there. And as you can see, if we put it towards the end, it will snap in place. Okay, so we can also, once we have put these things in here, we can rearrange these. Let's say this part, let's say we want this at the very end. We can just drag this to the very end. And you'll see once you get to the end of your completed video, it'll kind of snap there. So if you let go, it'll just snap in place. Okay, now how do I get rid of this empty spot here? Well, I could drag with my mouse and over top of these videos and select all of them and then drag them over by hand. Or I can just click in here. I can, with my right button held down, I can click in this empty spot and say ripple delete. Okay, and that will move all these pieces of video over top of that empty spot. All right, so those are some very basic editing things you can do. There's more tools down here, but these are a bit more complex, and since this is a beginner's tutorial, I'm not going to get into them yet. But if you look in the manual, it will tell you the usage of each of these tools. All right. So now you have edited your video, and finally we can go ahead and export that video. We need to save this video out in a format that other people can view. So once we have edited our video and we like it the way it is, we can go to File, Export, and we have many different options here. The only one I'm going to show you today is Export to Movie. Alright. And then you can give the video a name, and if you want to change something about how this video is saved, you can click on this Settings button, and then you will see that you have different things you can specify. You could, for example, change the file type to a QuickTime movie, or you could change it to a different type of AVI movie. Alright. And you can change the type of video, the type of audio, but for right now we'll leave everything the way it is. Okay, we pretty much want all this the way it is. And the other thing that you might want to change here is this range. You see here you have two options. You have entire sequence or work area bar. Let me show you what that is. This blue bar here above the timeline is your work area. And so if you want, you don't have to save the whole video. You could, for example, save just a chunk of it. Like let's say we want just this chunk right here in the beginning. Now when I go to File, Export, Movie, and click on Settings, instead of saving the entire sequence that is down here in our timeline, if we select Work Area Bar, it's only going to save this part that's underneath this blue bar. So you have those two options, and make sure you choose the right one, because you don't want to accidentally save only a part of it, or you don't want to accidentally save too much more video than you had anticipated. All right, so that's the basics of editing the video once you have captured it.